What's happening, ladies and gentlemen, all in between? Brian, my brother, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. How about you?
Pretty good, pretty good. So are you ready to wrap up the first trilogy of trilogies?
I am. My favorite of the three. So, yes, I'm absolutely ready to talk about it.
Part 2 was rough to get through.
Yeah, I think we did about 30 minutes on that one.
Right? And, you know, we're coming from it. Like, we love Star Wars. You know, we're not. Some people make their living literally being totally negative online about Star, like to the level that it's toxic and disgusting. And, you know, hey,
no,
we didn't write it, you know.
No, we did not. We enjoyed it to a point.
Absolutely. Made for a good childhood, you know.
Yes, it did.
So, yeah, so here we go. We're going to do Revenge of the Sith, Episode 3. And here we go.
War. The Republic is crumbling under the attacks of the ruthless Sith Lord Count Dooku. There are heroes on both sides. Evil is everywhere. In a stunning move, the fiendish droid leader, General Grievous, has swooped into the Republic capital and kidnapped Chancellor Palpatine, leader of the Galactic Senate. As the Separatist droids attempts to flee the besieged capital with their valuable hostage, 2 Jedi Knights lead a desperate mission to rescue the captive Chancellor.
Nice. All right, so
Miso, Miss Annie.
oh my God. Okay, so Revenge of the Sith, 2005, written and directed by George Lucas. It stars Ewan McGregor, Natalie Portman, Hayden Christensen, Ian McDiarmid, Samuel L. Jackson, Christopher Lee, Anthony Daniels, Kenny Baker, and Frank Oz. The sequel to The Phantom Menace in 1999 and Attack of the Clones 2002 is the 6th film in the Star Wars film series, the final installment of the Star Wars prequel trilogy, and the 3rd chronological chapter of the Skywalker saga. So Revenge of the Sith is set 3 years after the onset of the Clone Wars is established in Attack of the Clones. The Jedi are spread across the galaxy in a full-scale war against the Separatists. The Jedi Council dispatches Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi on a mission to defeat General Grievous, the head of the Separatist army, and Count Dooku's former apprentice, to put an end to the war. Meanwhile, after having visions of his wife Padme Amidala dying in childbirth, Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker is tasked by the Council to spy on Palpatine, the Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic Republic and secretly a Sith Lord. Palpatine manipulates Anakin into turning to the dark side of the Force and becoming his apprentice, Darth Vader, with wide-ranging consequences for the galaxy. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so we start out, the shape of the city lights, the way that they're shaped, is echoed in Ahsoka Episode 2 when you watch that, if you haven't. The headsets also gives, the headsets that they're wearing also reckons back to the original concept artwork for Star Wars. And what was that? Starbringer? Or was he Starkiller? The original name, I think. Well,
I don't know the original name.
Character. Yeah. And we actually see a body somersaulting in space after one of the ships get taken out.
That was a choice. Yeah. I didn't dislike it, but I was surprised by that watching it again.
Yeah, probably the only reason that I put it in there because it can give you the gravity of 9/11.
Yeah, that's fair.
People did see that, like, was now in the lexicon of shit that you've seen that you didn't watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we could get rid of that memory and I'd be good with it.
Yeah, exactly. Anakin shows his love for the high octane and maybe a penchant for killing. He seems a little on edge.
It took me, and I counted, 8 minutes to be very annoyed with Anakin. Like, too much. It was the back and forth. It was like, all right, maybe I'm just being too much. But 8 minutes, like, I was like, they did a rage-filled teenager well. He did, like, that's fair. He did. And if you can, like, this is not a knock at Hayden, because I think Hayden did as good as he could have. But the character itself and his development, very, very good, obnoxious, don't know what they're feeling.
Right.
Is he 19? Is he 20? Like, I don't even
Well, he
know
was
how old.
echoing Luke in episode 4.
Oh, 100%. 100%. It's the same thing. Why don't we do this? Like, all right, dude. Like, but it was very noticeable. Very,
Right.
very noticeable. And it takes over the screen, which is probably what the goal was. But I sat there like, oh, okay. All right,
It
let's go.
distracts you,
Yeah.
And takes you somewhere else,
I agree. 100%.
But yeah, I have a bad feeling about this is said again in the movie. It seems to be one that pops around a bunch. Like, oh, hello there. I have never been a General Grievous fan. I can't stand that character. That is my Jar Jar Binks.
Really?
Can't stand him.
I think it had a possibility to do a lot more than it did. I don't know. What is he?
Well, okay. Well, inside his helmet is his like face, skull, and brain.
Yeah.
He originally was a humanoid, and as time went on, he became more and more, like Vader-like. And then, they took that and put it in, Grievous.
Yeah,
I forgot like the whole backstory, but like he was a warrior of some kind, and then he kept on.
I think he needed a little bit more shielding around that general area. That seemed a little bit easy.
Right. Well, with 4 arms, you're supposed to.
Yeah, fair, but I think
arms, yeah.
I think we needed a little bit more chest protection there.
Right.
That seemed easy.
But yeah, and they use the when he was on screen, his background is there's always green around him. There's that uneasy, queasy feeling.
Yeah.
Like was in the previous films with other dark side people, and then it was just too. Like I said, when they made the original trilogy in the 70s, which is now 4, 5, 6, George made a kids movie that he would have watched when he was a kid. So most likely Flash Gordon and stuff like that. I used to watch as well before Star Wars came out. And then when he made this trilogy, he had kids. So things first seemed to be more cartoony. And I think General Grievous went from cartoony to too heavy. You know what I mean? Like pick a medium.
Yeah.
Pick one or the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a lot of gear movement in this trilogy, this first trilogy, where it's like, should we be here or should we be here? And you're not really sure which direction they're going to go. And there's a lot of that kind of seeing what people want, I guess.
Yeah,
and
I never liked Grievous in the animated either. Just But and then R2D2 mercs 2 droids.
Yeah, I like I wish I knew all the skills R2 had. Like we get more and more bit by bit, but they're like we get teeny pieces of like I just want to know what is this man fully equipped with.
I'm telling you, R2D2, there's more going on with him than being a droid. I'm telling you.
Well, I'm sure we'll find out one day.
Probably George's last breath will let that last nugget out, or it'll get released from the vault.
I hope so.
But yeah, and then there's the Count Dooku fight.
Do it.
That's the thing. Like that was. I mean, if you were watching, if this was 1, 2, 3 traditionally, and 3 was the third one, you'd really kind of know then. Like you knew that there was something different about Anakin versus everybody else. Like we got a whole beheading, like a whole thing. Like that's wild to me.
Right.
And the hands cut off, that was surprising. And then obviously the next part of it was like, huh. And then obviously the back and forth with Anakin, like, I shouldn't have done that. Like, do it.
I shouldn't have done that. Like right here, you can see the reflection when she's having that conversation with Anakin. Look at the coloring, because the background of her is always blue, and now it's echoing this, which will become this.
Yeah.
And you know, you go from, and now this is, you know, more reds than oranges. So orange is like, you're not totally evil yet, but you're getting there, you know.
Yeah.
And
100%.
it's been interesting because I went and researched like the color of lightsabers and what the meanings were and all this stuff, because in Ahsoka they have orange lightsabers. There's 2 people that have that. So but yeah, the effects didn't age well, like we said before. It just didn't, you know.
So we were watching, and I said it again. I was like, I wish I had a VHS player still, because I'd probably enjoy this a little bit more on a big old tube TV versus watching in 4K. 4K it's very evident. Almost everything is, I mean, that's everything now, though. Like any Marvel thing or anything too is all green screen. And you could tell pretty much immediately when you're watching on a TV right in front of your face. Like a movie theater, a little bit different. In front of your face, you can tell.
Now, what's great, what they have now is they have a 3D immersive green screen where it's 360 degrees around you and the ceiling. And as the actor in it, your environment, when you look around, changes to your point of view. So you can actually see the environment that you're acting in.
I like that.
And that's how they did The Mandalorian.
Mando's pretty good.
That whole thing was almost shot on, you know, like 80% of it was shot on a blue screen. It's amazing. Yeah, there's an extra on it on YouTube with Filoni and Favreau explaining it. You should check it out.
Yeah.
And yeah, the effects didn't age well. Bad animated Yoda.
More cartoony feeling to me.
Oh, it looks like shit he does.
A little bit. Yeah. Like watching, and we'll get to that, but I like old Yoda better.
Yeah. You know, people say OMG. I always say OMY, oh my Yoda.
Yeah.
And they're like, why'd you say that? Well, I've touched Yoda. I've literally been in Industrial Light and Magic and touched Yoda. Touched Darth Vader, C-3PO, R2-D2, Godzilla.
I love that.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, and George knew that the animated Yodas weren't working. But, you know, in order for this film to be made, the advances that George Lucas and company made is just outstanding.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know, the technology that they developed. And also, too, what was so striking from people who watched 3, 4, or 4, 5, 6 first and then watched this one, totally different. Why? Well, it's on digital camera, number 1. 2, the crew that they used with Star Wars, who were old timers, they all retired. Yeah. So that look and aesthetic wasn't even
possible.
You know, like 4, 5, and 6, you look at it, if you're a film buff, it's obviously shot in England. And most likely they used Fujifilm, because Fujifilm gives you a greener tint than Kodak. So that was interesting when we used to work on stuff. You know, you always knew what kind of colors you'd be working with if you're in the art department, if they're shooting Fuji versus, you know, and the kind of lighting you do versus Kodak. Yeah. But, yeah, I like the annoyed R2-D2.
Yeah. Fair.
You know, R2-D2 and C-3PO, Senator Organa, Leia and Padme's with her Cinnabons. You know, they're Amidala dialogue is so Betty Boopish in that scene with everybody, you know.
The hold me like you did on Naboo part made me laugh. It totally brought me to like
for her to go boop boop.
Paint me like one of your French girls. That's exactly what that felt like. It was so. Oh my god! I audibly laughed for a moment. I was like, all right, I got to pause this because this is just ridiculous.
Even me so think that bad lines.
Yeah. Yeah, it was not my favorite of the entire thing.
Yeah. And then we get to the Jedi Council, and Palpatine is sowing division with Anakin. And then the Council declines Anakin's rank of master, and he becomes a brat.
More and more, I feel like they're excluding me.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, no, it checks out. He thinks he's more powerful than he is. He thinks he's ready to go, and with his little mood fest, it's pretty evident that he is not ready to go. Right.
Right. It's like Stuart from Mad TV trying to become a Jedi at that point. You know? Look what I can do. But yeah, the bratty Anakin needs to shut up.
Yep.
Goes against the Jedi code. Anakin to spy on or asked to spy by the council to spy on Palpatine. That's very interesting how, you know, he starts to sow the discontent with Anakin, you know what I mean?
Little seeds. That scene that they're all sitting there and they're whatever it is, like the opera or whatever it is, they're not in like the Senate or anything. They've got people all around him, and he's like that's good. That was one of the better scenes, like low-key, that I not forgot, but rewatching it, I was like, yeah, I can see why he thinks he likes this guy as much as he does. And that's I think it's a bigger scene than people realize it is.
Yeah, because he's making him feel way more important than he I don't mean to sound like a douchebag, but way more important than he is at his station of. And the only reason why he got that appointment was so the Jedi Council would appease the Senate because they know something's going on.
Right.
So, but he didn't get the title of Jedi Master, which should have alarmed Palpatine that they don't really trust him. But he kind of knew that already. But
yeah, I mean, he wanted that. He wanted the old like, nah, don't get too involved with them. I've got something better for you, kind of thing.
Right.
And I think that shows pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah. So Anakin starts to put brainworms of jealousy into Anakin.
It's almost like those. We'll do a Wrath of Khan reference. Those little worms that go into their ears. That's exactly what happened right there.
God. But yeah, so then Darth Plagueis and the influence of midi-chlorians to create life.
So I have that as a whole bold line in my notes.
Mm-hmm.
So is Plagueis Annie's dad? Like, who is? I mean, is the Emperor? Is that like who is Anakin's dad? Is it Plagueis?
I think. Well, Anakin's a child of the Force.
Okay, yeah, but create life could mean a lot of things.
Right. I think that Palpatine, who is also Darth Sidious, I think he's actually Darth Plagueis.
Okay, fair.
Or maybe he's a clone of Plagueis.
When I heard that line, it really made me think, because I think I mentioned this in the first episode, our first cast, was I didn't remember Anakin being, there was no father. Like, I forgot about that, like, entirely. And probably because I didn't think it was a major story point at that point, but rewatching it, I'm like, huh. And then when he said create life.
They go into Immaculate Conception, I always roll my eyes, Alien abduction.
Yeah, that's more likely.
Now apparently in Star Wars lore, Obi-Wan's master, Quinn. I don't want to say
Kim Jong-un.
Yeah, I don't want to president of North Korea. He apparently got some kind of piece of equipment, an engine that would make the scrapper wealthy who owned Anakin and his mom, and that's how she gained her freedom, was through that guy. He didn't forget about her, just took a couple of moves to get that engine, and then he got her out, and then she was taken.
Smee.
Yeah. It's not you, it's me.
It's me. That's a good Star Wars shirt. That really would be.
Yeah, it'll be in a store next week.
Who's the dad? Not me.
It's Shmi.
Interesting. But no, that create life thing is a interesting. I want more context behind that, which who knows if we'll get it, but I want more context from.
Right. I mean, what does that mean? Could be test tube. I don't think,
Right.
Could be a way to, if he could affect midichlorians,
yeah,
and make them, basically make them mate with each other, then it could create whatever, I guess. But
I mean, I don't need the Force to create life, either does
right.
you, man. So who knows?
Right. Let's see how silly that sounds.
It does.
Yeah. Wookiee Planet.
Loved it. Totally in. 100% into it.
Dude, big fanboy moment for me. Because you always knew there was other Wookiees out there,
It was so fun for the first time realizing there is more than one. Because we never really knew. Like, is he the last of an extinct planet? Is there random ones out there? I absolutely adored that.
Yeah, well, I mean, he owed Han a life debt.
Right.
That's why he was with him. And, because the Wookiee planet was a slave planet. They were all enslaved. You know what I mean? So
loved seeing that.
Yeah. And then Anakin's dress becomes even darker in tone. So now he's got the black overlay. So he's going that way anyway. You know what I mean? Everyone else is bright and cheery, and he's got the moody,
Yeah. The progression in two movies for him was a lot. Very light, or middle light to very dark.
Right. And then the General Grievous speech.
How'd you feel about
that? Speaking to Mustafar in the Outer Rim, Obi cuts off his hands. Yeah, Grievous. I don't like Grievous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Fair.
But he has a role to play. I get it. Didn't really read into it because he annoys me, so I kind of, I just kind of blank out during that time. You know what I mean? I mean, you have to understand. I've seen this movie, as with two small boys, and so I was like, But okay. So what's with Obi-Wan constantly dropping his fucking lightsaber? Can we talk about this, dude? Get a grip. Get a grip, dude. Like what?
He needs one of those little string things.
Right, yeah. Exactly. Like, dude, every other scene, oh shit, Cloak.
Lightsaber croaky. That's what he needs.
Dude, and he just doesn't just drop it, like he drops it,
Yeah.
Oh, nope, there's a crevice.
That's a good point. I didn't really think about that, but yeah, he does drop it a lot. Maybe he's clumsy. He's the clumsy Jedi.
Yeah. But hello there. So the Chancellor Emperor comes out as a Sith Lord. No, that was pretty interesting because Anakin almost, he could have gone either way in that scene. I thought he did well in that scene.
Yeah, I think that was his best acting of the entire series, as far as I'm concerned. I think that Hayden really hit that moment well, super, super well.
Yeah, and you didn't know if he was going to turn him in, and then he
did not.
He flipped him.
He did. How do we feel about that whole, the cinematography of the whole thing? How do we feel about that scene? Because I think it's great.
Oh, it was shot pretty well, and then the colors change, and there's a lot. I'm always paying attention, to the color scheme. Like here. Look, Palpatine's darking dresser as well, the same colors, but reversed than Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the skyline is turning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, those colors mean something because this is how it started out. It was still bright and cheery, And then, we're getting darker. And then, of course, we'll get to the other Scary picture. Yeah, so Obi-Wan kills Grievous. Made sure he stabbed him in the heart plate.
Your favorite moment.
Oh yeah. Please. Just because Grievous is one of those characters, like in the Clone Wars, I was like, God damn it! Like, how many times are you gonna almost kill this guy? Like, he always,
He did not escape on this particular day.
Right. And then they try to arrest Palpatine, and love to see Palpatine using his lightsaber, but man, they lost some epic, legendary Jedis way too early. I thought
way too early, way too early.
It just made the Jedi look weak.
Yeah, it did. Almost like, I always thought they kind of operated on their own little thing, and then all of a sudden it's like most are dead. Like just like this, like that. They shouldn't be that easy to kill, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, so Palpatine's voice changes, and he whips out the Force lightning.
That was fun to watch. Like he did I don't know the actor's name. He did a very good job going from like unsuspecting guy in the first movie to
Ian McDiarmid
to straight up just ragey fingers. Like I love that. I loved that whole thing. Right. Exactly like that. Dainty yet strong. I don't know how else to describe it other than that.
Yeah, it was Anakin,
Oh, it's very nice, and then you'll become a Sith master.
Very good.
Mm-hmm. And then
good.
Yeah, that was.
Then we get Viceroy Newt Gunray. But yeah, great imaging of the temple to kill the Jedi. That was shot really well. The overhead shot when you've got.
So when he shows up, you're talking about that scene when he's like walking. Yeah. So I do want to do an RIP to Mace Windu real quick before we keep going. Poor guy. I loved that development, and then we get those younglings. That was a bold choice.
Yeah.
Oh, like I like rewatching it. I'm like, huh. Like, wow, they really did that. Like, just straight up, and it makes sense. It was just
right. And here's the theory: he fell. In the end, he fell through Force lightning.
Okay.
People who fall in Star Wars never die. Han Solo fell.
Fair.
They always come back. If you fall, they come back. It's just like, dropping a lightsaber. And sometimes there's a hand attached to it, But yeah, so he beckons the Sith apprentice. Let's see here. Yeah, Jedis are so Order 66 happens.
Mm-hmm.
And the clone army activates, their programming changes, and they start. I always wondered like how it flipped, you know what I mean? And if you haven't seen Clones animated season 4 episodes, I believe 6, 7, and 8, the last 3, dude, it explains all that in like really great. Like that should have been its own movie. Those last 3 episodes were so good.
I only watched the first animated season. I did not keep going on Clone Wars, which I know I need to. Yeah. I have a hard time with animation. I don't know why. I
had a hard time with the type of animation that they did originally because they changed it.
Okay.
It was more Samurai Jack type of thing, and I was like,
I've always had a hard time with it. I just have.
Really?
I could do cartoons. I could do cartoons, but when I'm watching something serious, right?
Oh,
Like
I get you.
that's where I struggle with the old. Like I didn't watch any of the What If Marvel, like any. I just
Really good.
I believe it. I just really struggle with the when I know what I think a character looks like, and then I've got a cartoon version of it. I struggle with the readjustment.
Have you ever watched Akira?
No.
You have to see that. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Japanese animation from
Right.
1989, 88, 89. Yeah, so Yoda gets heartburn. What? Oh, yeah, so because Jedis are being slaughtered all across the galaxy, Yoda gets heartburn.
Oh. Yes, Yoda did get heartburn. That is actively correct.
Lots of deaths there are.
Yeah. Wonder what this feels like. Like just being connected with everybody and just knowing when they're feeling pain, like or the ultimate pain. That's gotta be that's I don't wish that upon anybody. I don't want that.
Oh no. And then we have the birth of the Empire. Mm-hmm. Then Chewie carries Yoda on his back.
How cute.
Which opens up a whole fucking plot hole for the next trilogy. I'll just put that out right now. Thank you. Oh. Yeah. But I love Chewie, you know, because everyone loved Chewie because when the first Star Wars trilogy came out, everyone had a dog. And Chewie was everyone's dog. Like, you know what I mean?
That.
Everyone's best friend was in the movie.
I love that so much.
You know, so you were seeing, so when you were watching the movie, you were living it through Chewie's eyes and you're observing it through R2-D2.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know what I mean? So pretty cool. And then Anakin slaughters the kids, you know. You just see that kid. Oh shit. You know.
like he when he walks into the main like the temple room, right. I guess. Like the one they always meet in, the kids are in there and he's just like, "Oh, you here to help?" And he's like, "Yes." like yeah.
Yeah, I'm here to help.
Yeah. Well, it's a great it's awful, but it's a great scene.
Yeah. I mean, this guy all the way, I don't know his name, the guy all the way on the right, he's one of my favorite looking Star Wars characters of all time.
He didn't put up a good fight, if my memory serves correctly.
No, you know what I mean? Like, I wanted a whole movie with that dude, you know?
I agree.
But, yeah. So Yoda gets into his escape pod. Obi-Wan gets into his space Corvette.
Yep.
Some of the stuff was just like too blatant. But Anakin and Padme scene, says that his loyalties lie with the Chancellor, and she's like, "But Anakin,
yeah,
you're killing me."
Yeah, they nerfed her pretty good this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, if you play like Killing Me Softly in the background while they're doing that whole thing, it's a whole like different movie. But I think they kind of wasted her character in this movie, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, they built her up better and then kind of just made her nerfed. That's the best thing.
It would have been better if her death was faked and she went off somewhere to some other planet and the kids were split.
Yeah.
And put out. That would have been, and they didn't even have to say that she was still alive. You know what I mean?
That would have been a fun little concept. She could have shown up.
Then she could have came back,
Yeah, she could have shown up. That would have been kind of a fun little idea.
Right. Or even maybe she goes into like the, world within worlds and then she doesn't age because time takes place differently. And then she comes back to save her kids,
I like that idea.
In episode 7, 8, 9. When they're older,
kind of fun.
He's half their age,
That would have been fun. Damn, Vince should have wrote this movie.
Yeah, I know. They didn't call me again. I'm telling you. So, Palpy warns his new apprentice, Darth Vader. Now, this is something I caught. I always thought that Darth Vader happened once he became the plastic helmeted Darth.
He was anointed beforehand, yeah.
So, well, here's the thing. They called him Lord Vader.
True.
Twice. They didn't call him Darth Vader. So he wasn't a Darth until
the black suit.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
And why is the difference between a Lord and Darth? And what the hell does Darth mean? You know. But yeah. Well, let's see. And he will take care. When Obi-Wan will take care of you. Vader arrives at Mustafar, slaughters them all. Obi-Wan and Yoda kick some droid ass.
That they do.
And then we go to the Senate. And the Sith looks kind of like, maybe it's Maybelline. Like it was really like it was so, you know, like the fact that everyone accepted, oh, yep, that's him.
Yeah.
Like totally different guy, you know,
I'm evil now.
Yeah.
You know. But
I feel like more people would be like, hey, what's going on here, bud? Like, can you tell me a little bit about your health in the last 24 hours? Like, somebody should have said something, literally anything.
I am the Supreme Chancellor.
Yeah.
First Galactic Republic.
Holy shit. Where'd this guy come from? Whose uncle's up there?
Yeah, no, that absolutely was that.
Then Obi-Wan basically I can't even read my own writing. Something about the code the Jedi survived in the field, so to speak.
There was for sure the part where he wanted to turn off the signal.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, recalibrates the signal. That's what that.
Correct, because it was a trap to get the rest of them all.
It's a trap.
Yes, absolutely. All we needed was Admiral Akbar over there to say it's a trap.
Yep. Which you could see Admiral Akbar's ship in this week's episode of Ahsoka.
Oh, well, I can't wait.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so we eventually get a so now we go into the fight.
The fight.
Yeah. So
I mean, let's also not forget about one part that I think is pretty important.
Yeah.
Is the killing of literally all the other bad guys from the entire trilogy by Anakin in about 2 minutes. Or excuse me, Lord Vader. Because we've officially made that switch. He just chopped apart everybody real quick. Real quick.
Yeah, like what makes one of Darth was my I thought this was on the next, but Obi-Wan sees Anakin via hologram slaying and being called Lord Vader.
He had to watch, and Yoda warned him not to watch.
And Yoda says,
"Twisted by the dark side, he is."
Yep, 100%. He absolutely does.
And then, go ahead.
So the one question that I do have, no, actually, we'll save it. We'll save that for a minute, and then we'll get to it because it needs to be after this part.
Go ahead.
No, we'll save it. I want to save it until you keep. We get it. Yeah, save it. As soon as we're done with the next little bit, then we'll talk about it.
So now comes the force choke on Padme, which I really had a problem with.
Yeah, me too.
Because one, it's not like his character. It would have been something if he's like having a saber fight and she gets hit, or there's collateral damage or some kind of.
Even if he's so full of rage, the biggest worry that he had was messing with her. So it is such a weird, like something happening to her. So to have it be like all of a sudden, all right, I'm worried about this verse. Yeah, I'm just gonna be quiet. Be quiet for a second. Like that's never gonna happen. That was a weird thing that they did.
And she's pregnant.
Right. Yeah, no, I didn't.
Totally was like out of character. Now, if Palpatine or someone else, or something that the Jedi's did and it happened, collateral damage fell on her,
Right.
or something and crushed her, could totally
Believable.
But the Force choke,
Nope, unbelievable for me.
I think that was one of the writer's kinks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that was a weird choice.
Yoda calls him Darth Sidious. And here, how did he know he's Darth Sidious? How did he know that the Emperor is Darth Sidious? It was never even mentioned before that.
Correct. Yeah, I didn't get that.
Or maybe it was in the Clone Wars that was explained, but and the Obi-Wan and the Vader fight, man, there's some impressive swordsmanship going on there.
That's a fun one. I mean, the whole thing.
Great job. Yeah.
There was a little bit of like, why are you fighting there? Like for me, like why just what are we doing? Like they're on random large, I don't even know what you want to call them, like vent looking things. It's like, all right, hang on, let's just find ground and have ourselves a good fight and just go from there. Like that was like, I get the suspense, it's needed. But for me, that was one of my things. I was like, all right, they're not going to fight on that. Like, that's not going to be a thing. So yeah, but it was beautiful. I mean, cinematically, it was done well. The actual choreography of the whole thing was done well. So is that the best lightsaber fight? Or so it's got to be like, so episode 1 up there, this one up there,
right? And then there's
6 is good. And
then there's the Obi-Wan show.
Yeah, this might be the best. I don't know. Maybe the best one's episode 1, because with Kim Jong fighting Darth Maul, we've most certainly established a pretty good one. I don't know. It's an interesting thought. We're gonna have to rank those after we watch everything.
Yeah. Hold on one second here. Just want to grab another picture. Yeah, I didn't like the whole Force saving. That kind of just freaked me out. But the swordsmanship was totally cool. The hot lava game, I kind of rolled my eyes on,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I sent you that meme, didn't I, about the hot lava game?
Did you? Was it today?
I don't know. No, it could have been the other day. Maybe I meant to send it and never did. But it was someone saying, "Hey, you want to play?" Like Luke talking to Obi-Wan or something. "Hey, you want to play hot lava game?" And Obi-Wan's like, "Oh, your dad wasn't very good at
it." Yeah, once again, let's find a spot and let's just fight there. That's how I felt about the whole thing.
Right. But anyway. But yeah, the jumping, that was very cartoony, jumping from, I'm on this, metal thing that would melt in any other thing other than hot lava.
Right. That was part of my problem.
They'd be scarred from all the splashes of the lava hitting them.
Right.
And then was it tossing pods at Yoda? Yoda says, "Into exile I must go. Failed I have." And that was kind of a punk ass move on Yoda's part.
Kind of.
He's like, "Up later."
Yeah, I mean, I get why he would do that, but at the same time, it's like, hey, dude, like, this is probably a bad time for you just to vanish for 20 years. Like, this is just probably not your best call. But yeah, that one threw me a bit. But it makes sense because they were so outnumbered at that point. Like, right, we saw everybody die for the most part, so that makes sense. You need time to rebuild.
Psychologically, that's some classic ego shit going on right now.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like totally anti Jedi.
Yeah, not team player Yoda.
Yeah.
I've got the high ground, Anakin.
So I love that scene for a lot of reasons, but also it's just so stupid. Anakin's not stupid. Like, he's not.
Right.
I know he's full of rage, and rage blinds people. I Trust me, I totally feel it every time I get on 88 or 55.
Right.
But there's no way that he would make that jump. And then like the symbolism of his other arm, and his 2 legs. So he's got nothing. Like he's got none of his.
Shroon, come on, fight like a man.
There are no digits left. Not on either. So that was cool. I mean, what do you think?
What's that?
What do you think about the fight? Do you think it was like that part, that scene in particular when he jumps, like
lame?
Yeah,
that was
a little bit.
Totally stupid. Like he should have been losing, like in the Monty Python film. You know, he should have been losing one limb at a time.
Right.
You know, doing some kind of, you know, but Obi-Wan letting him die is also anti-Jedi.
Right. So,
you know, so like there's some weird, you know, Anakin. Oh, hello there. You look hot.
Yeah, he was most certainly hot. They rewatching it, I didn't realize how much they made him burn. Like, obviously, we knew Darth Vader was burned, but I was like, all right, guys, like somebody go get him now. Like, he's had enough. Because you knew he was. I mean, obviously, we know he wasn't going to die, but like sitting there and he's like, no arms, no legs, and then his little jacket sets on fire. Yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah, unbelievable. But yeah, so the twins are born, and so Vader's has a son. What's interesting is when Leia's born, the Leia's theme plays, and then Luke's theme plays, and as it rolls out into the, you know, snapshot of, you know, they're looking at the Death Star being built.
I got a big problem with that.
Yeah. Okay. You know, the kids are distributed, and here we see Uncle Owen and Aunt
Beru.
Aunt Beru with the double sons, almost the same exact stance. But yeah, this battle, you know, that's what bummed me out about the way that it ended, because the battle was so good. Even though, like, you could turn the other way about the floaty things and, you know, that kind of stuff. But I'm going to flip over you. It's just, you know.
No, just no. So back to that Death Star thing. You want to tell me you waited 20 years to use this damn thing? Like, right. It's done. Like, in this particular, it's, well, not done. But it's like, there's no way that the rest of that took that long. I mean, right? I can't imagine that being a thing.
Well, that's the frame.
You know? Yeah, I get that it's a frame, but they have unlimited resources. They have a clone army. Like, they can all work round the clock. They can just keep getting more clones. I'm sure there's still some battle droids sitting around somewhere. Grab those guys. This would not have taken 20 years. That's the one thing that was like, all right, I wish this was an after credit and said like 6 years later. Like, that was one of the things that I wish was a thing. So.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
Timeline wise, I don't think it works.
Right, but I understand what you're saying. Yeah, you know, there's a couple of goofy things, but everything doesn't always work.
Of course it doesn't.
And of course, the picture I keep on trying to grab, I can't find. But yeah, so Hayden suits up, and you know, you hear the you know,
we get our James Earl Jones back.
Yeah, and then we hear the Luke no invader.
Yeah, I don't know. I liked that part of it, but also I'd be kind of pissed if I was now Darth Vader and was kind of promised, like, she's gonna be all right. You're gonna be able to do that. Like, I mean, obviously his fault too, because they chose to make him choke her out. But yeah, I would be a little bit pissed if I was Darth. That would make me be as rageful enough to continue building it.
And was that his punishment, to have labored breathing? because she died in labor after being choked, labored breathing.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
Then the protocol droid's mind is wiped. His C3PO's mind is wiped, or his hard drive. R2 laughs. I'm telling you, there's something with R2 that goes beyond time and space.
I'm here for that. I mean, it's kind of weird they wouldn't wipe his memory too. I mean, R2's got
just the protocol droid. He's the one who talks.
Yeah.
And what are you gonna do? Torture a robot?
I guess you're right.
You know, the one who obviously, you know, can speak 700 languages, but still needs something in between the arm to make it move correctly. Padme's funeral. We see Jar Jar Binks again.
We got our 30 seconds of Jar Jar in. The perfect amount of Jar Jar.
Right. And then, but the, you know, the ending, it was cool to see it, you know, the Death Star just framed.
Yeah, no, it's a very cool graphic.
Yeah.
I just, timeline-wise, it bothers me.
And it was always cool that the way that they lit Vader's helmet.
Yeah.
You know, because there's huge lights, you know, kind of like the lights that I have here, you know, are what makes the Vader reflection like that. Not a typical light, but
yeah,
you know, box light. But yeah, so Anakin's hiding in the shadows, and he's now become he is now a Sith. So what do you think about the movie overall?
I mean, it's for sure my favorite of the three.
Yeah.
It's not really close. I think, yeah, we got some character. We got less of a couple. Obviously, we got less of Jar Jar. That was needed. Even much less than the second one. Overall, though, like telling the pain story, so to speak, of Anakin.
Yeah.
I think they did a good job of that part of it. The evolution of a slave child into a, I mean, like blue chip prospect into the like evil bust is cool. And I think that the progression of that guy makes sense. I mean, I don't think the one thing from this whole trilogy is you fell way more in love with Obi-Wan. And to me, that was a great thing. Like everybody liked Obi-Wan from 4, right? But
sure,
we got the whole Obi-Wan story, and he became like, yeah, he might be my favorite. You know, like that's what I took away from it. Nice seeing Yoda, you know, do his thing. Once again, going away and vanishing. Odd choice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I very much enjoyed watching it again. And I probably will not go as long without watching it as I have. That's my takeaway from this movie. I did enjoy it a lot.
Yeah.
What about you?
You know, I mean, you know, I waited, you know, what, 23, 25 years, whatever it was, in order to see the story of Darth Vader. You know, that was always like, it's always a story I wanted to see.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just think like I didn't like the you know, he's loved Padme since he was a kid, and so there's no way he was going to choke her. Like I just don't buy that. I still don't. You know,
that's a big plot hole.
Yeah, I'm bothered by that, but you know, I think it's the best out of the three. You know, and they finally got a little bit of a handle on the technology.
Yeah, I agree.
And you know, it was still written by George. You know, directed by George, and so he got to direct his, you know, his trilogies again. But you know, hey, the best Star Wars movie, in my opinion, was not written by George Lucas. So, but we'll get into that in the next trilogy. But yeah, I had a not my favorite trilogy. This was painful for me to watch.
Yeah,
you know, especially 1 and 2.
So yeah, two is still my issue, but but this one, I'm okay with this one. Like this is
But I
a
love
fine
like
one.
the expansion of the story that
Right.
they're able to do. I like the expansion of the lore, and I
Yeah.
watched the animated stuff because my kids watched it. So their universe building has always been top notch. But
I agree.
Couldn't do it. So I probably will watch this one again, but 1 and 2 maybe when the grandkids come around.
Yeah,
They're not born yet, so
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So I guess I'll ask this question: if you were tasked with you have a child, right? And you're like, we're going to start doing Star Wars.
yeah.
Do you start at 1? Do you do 1, 2, 3? Because I think you do.
I did not.
But okay, well, you did not. That's fair. You had the. So I was thinking for myself, like, if we ever have a kid, like, would I start with 1, 2, 3?
I showed them as they were released.
So I'm a big timeline order guy in general. Yeah. Like, I think I would probably, I'd let the whole story tell and see if it's a thing. Like, we're not talking about like a 7, 6-year-old. We're probably talking about, say you had like a 13-year-old kid. And you're like, hey, this is what we're doing. We're going to do this. Have you ever seen this? No. All right, we're going to start at the beginning and go through.
No.
I think it would be, so you would not do 1, 2, 3.
No, I'd go 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9.
Interesting. I wonder what.
Actually, I would do. I would do 4, 5, 6, and then Rogue One.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. And then 1, 2, 3, and then you can watch 7, 8, 9 on your own if you want. But if I'm sitting there watching it with them, I'm definitely going 4, 5, 6.
Okay, fair. I personally would start at 1, 2, 3. I would go in timeline order, and then go Andor, and then I would go Rogue One, and I would Obi-Wan.
Right.
Yeah.
See, because I would go the way that I chose, because kids know now that there's prequels.
Right.
So it wouldn't be any out of the ordinary for us. It was weird. What are you doing? Like changing the order,
Yeah. Fair.
It was odd for me, but
yeah,
they didn't have to change the order.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean? But they did anyway. I don't know why, but anyway. But yeah. So anything left to say on this fine episode of Sci-Fi?
I don't think I have anything else to add. I already said my RIP Mace Windu. That's about.
Oh, you had one thing you were saving that you wanted to. Did you already do that?
Did I already do it? I'm gonna look at my notes real quick. Oh yeah, there was one more thing. So Yoda would have known that Anakin was dead, right? He knew when everybody else died.
Well,
so he would have
felt mass deaths.
Okay, that's fair. Because like I'm sitting here thinking like he would have known that Anakin was still around. Like I feel like that would have been a thing, and that should have been maybe like a side cut. Like Yoda's like drops his little stick, drops his little cane, and then is like, he is alive. Like right before that helmet goes on, right? Like to me, that would have been something that I would have done, but that was something that
did sense him, and that's why he bailed.
Maybe it's entirely possible, but to me, that's a whole thing. Like I feel like he would have known, and that would have been more of a thing.
You could have sensed it.
Yeah, maybe.
Not totally known because there was so much going on that could be such a massive blow that
you're right.
It takes, because remember when it happened in episode 4, Obi-Wan took a seat.
True.
It literally took the energy right out of him.
Yeah, maybe. I thought that was interesting because to me, I feel like how powerful Anakin is. Like you would probably feel that,
Right.
So.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
A good way to look at it.
Yeah.
I would not argue the fact if that's what happened. But
there you go. Good boy.
All right, everybody. Thanks again for watching Sci-Fi. We'll see you next week with episode 4, A New Hope. Right on. Have a good one, guys, and we will see you later.
So yeah.